I was talking to Asner on the way from the airport to pick me up. So we talked about his favorite stock in oil, which reminds me of one of those great examples of value investing back in the early 90s. As some of you might know, in the early 90s, went through a shock therapy and went into free market almost overnight. In a short period of time, they privatized some of the most prized state asset, including local oil and gas property we talk about. And it was so short that most people don't really understand what it's all about. A lot of the people who work in the companies and also ordinary citizens were given certificate about that can really convert it to stock ownership, but most people really don't know what it is. So anybody who come along offer them a real cash, which they recognize, they were just afraid to give it away. So as a result of those certificates, at one point it was trading as an extraordinarily low prices. How low is the prices? Forget about the earnings. Just the sort of the asset on the balance sheet. At the time, the oil prices, I think in the 4 or 5 year average around $20. And the reserve represented by the balance sheet on a per share basis, value of the oil per barrel of the proven reserve at really low prices. Esther, do you remember what was the price? Anybody remember? It was $20 per barrel traded on the open market. Anybody can imagine how low did it go? 1 cent on the dollar. Sometimes half cents on the dollar. In other words, about 10 cents to 20 cents per proven barrel of oil on the balance sheet. And that's not even counting the earnings from the company. This is how low it went. It was ridiculous. Now, I thought at that point that that's some kind of a margin of safety, even consider the political situation. And it ultimately traded up, for the longest period of time, it was at 20, 30 cents, 50 cents, and gradually moved to $1 and briefly traded to $3. And then a few years later, the Asian financial crisis occurred and the value of the currency. So all of a sudden, the $2 oil no longer looks very protected because the currency literally at one point it went down 90%. 90. But if you really bought it at the 10 cents, which is a half percent of the value, less than, not the 10%, the value of the currency down 90%, you still came out quite all right. In fact, you still probably made it 10 times your money. That's how an extreme situation can become. That would be a good example to study. So that you can really withstand a situation, external shock, and really shock that one of the measure of value, in this case currency, by 90%, you still came out on top. That is how extreme it is, that concept of margin of safety, when you do practice.